Start tonight's meeting. Roll call, please.
Trustee Hargit.
Here.
Trustee Levin.
Here.
Trustee Mirabella.
Here.
Trustee McCarthy.
Here.
Trustee White.
Here.
Trustee Whitmore. Here. Mayor Bruno.
Here. Please stand for tonight's invocation and pledge of allegiance. Tonight's invocation will be provided by Pastor Doug Carlson.
Thank you very much. Last chance to see you guys before we all get older. 2023. Merry Christmas to you from our family and our church family as well. Let's pray. God in heaven, I thank you so much for the wonder of this season. Even as we are old and have many years behind us, we still rejoice and have the wonder of the season. Thank you, Father, that it's a time of giving and a time of joy and peace and lights and music, all the things, Father, that we love, the sights, the sounds, the smells. But most of all, it's the season of receiving. I thank you that God, the greatest giver, gave Jesus the greatest gift to take away the sins of mankind, which is the greatest need, and provide salvation eternally for all those that trust in Him, which is the greatest promise, with benefits that are out of this world. And I thank you, Father, for that reminder. I pray you help us today to remember the reason for this season. Thank you that we come together in community, one of your greatest gifts to us. I pray your blessing, Father, on these good friends and worthy people, as they accomplish the things that they've been put in office to do. Help us live a better and a safer life and finish 2022 well, as they have taken us this far, and start off 2023 well and wonderful also. Father, I pray your blessing as we do a little business, have a little fun, enjoy the camaraderie, Father, and I pray that you would receive honor and glory for what is done tonight and what is done through us in the coming days. And I pray it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the November 15th, 2022 regular board meeting minutes.
So, second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Hargit.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Whitmore.
Motion carried. Move on to the first item in the mayor's report. I need a motion to waive the second and actual reading and adopt as presented the tax levy ordinance.
So moved. Second.
This proposed tax levy before you is a 4.99% increase. Nick, could you give us an overview and justification for this tax levy?
First of all, let me present that it's in the same format that we've always used. And we did discuss this first in October. And a little bit about the PTIL rate, the property tax limitation. What any non-home rule community in Illinois is limited on the amount of taxes that they can increase from year to year. And it's limited by the CPI from the previous year or 5%. So this is kind of a unique year where inflation is at 8 or 9%, but however we can only levy at 5. So it's important to understand that you're paying those inflationary rates on your fuel, on your vehicles, on everything that you buy. And everything you buy in water and sewer and everything. So it's important to look at that you pay those rates. So we're looking at an increase of about $97,000 for just over $100,000. The detail I've covered in the past, how you compare to other communities, and explaining what the effect is on a home at different values at different market. So essentially, if you own a $200,000 home, this will affect you to about $40-some a year, and then it increases substantially. It'll be double that for a $400,000 home. So you're talking, it is an increase. I understand that inflation affects everybody. All the residents are going to pay this, and it's going to be an increase. But it's also an increase to all of you. And so we're recommending, from a staffing standpoint, that the increase be 4.99% under the 5. And again, we'll have to make some adjustments to next year's budget because costs will increase beyond that. So it's about $100,000 increase. Just to Anything else I should cover?
I mean, you're saying it's 4.99% and the inflation is already about 7-8%.
8.
So we're not even, we're getting some revenue from that, but we're still behind.
Costs are gonna be higher than the amount of that increase. So, the $2 million of your $5 million general fund budget is property tax. So we're talking about a $5 million budget, we're going up $100,000. Our costs are gonna increase probably $200,000 beyond that.
When was our last increase?
Last year.
Huh?
Last year.
Yeah.
Last year.
But before that,
We have 1 year that we kept it at a flat levy.
At zero, right.
At 3 years ago. Well, so it's not a zero levy, it's we didn't increase.
Right.
It's a flat levy,
Right.
yes. And then last year and this year, it's the increase.
The zero levy year actually resulted though in because of the math that's used in the county building and the way the taxes work, it actually does reduce your actual intake by about $75,000.
Any other discussion? Thank you, Nick. We'll call for a roll call, please.
Target,
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carried. We move on to item 2. Need a motion to approve the workman's compensation insurance renewal.
So moved.
Second.
This workman's compensation renewal quoted effective 1/1/2023 from Travelers Casualty and Surety Company. The renewal quote has an annual premium of $122,881, a slight increase from 2022 premiums of $119,642. Claims have been kept to a minimum this year, and we currently have a few cases with reserves from previous years. Our department heads have emphasized safety in our day-to-day operations, and it is starting to show in our workman's comp premiums. Dave, do you have anything else to add?
No, just Travelers. Travelers has an extensive program in order to help municipalities not only in legal issues, but also HR and the day-to-day operations and safety training. That's something that we're hoping to get up to speed this coming year and utilizing those free services through Travelers.
Thank you. Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Target.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carried. I need a motion, let's see, appointment resolution. Need a motion to adopt resolution appointing Anthony Leo, Miguel Quiros, and Ricky Wiley as firefighters.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Anything to add, Rocky?
I'd like to say that we're getting some new people on the department now, which is really good. We've had a big recruitment push, thanks to David and myself for getting our word out there. He made a nice website, and I think we're seeing the fruits of that labor come through now. So that's kind of nice. These are people we do have to train. We did find a free firefighter academy online. It's a hybrid online. They're gonna have to travel out by Rockford to get through their practical work, but it is free. And with our people, we'll get them up to snuff here in a few months.
Now, these 3 came from the recruitment efforts?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and not just 3, but we've had another 3 last time. So
Right.
it takes a while to get them trained, but that's our model, and so far it's working out.
All right. Thank you, Rocky. Great.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, roll call, please.
Target.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carried. Going to do some swearing of officers. I'd ask Jason to come forward.
Bill?
Push them in there.
Just ask you to raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Jason Guerrero,
having been appointed a police officer for the village of Winthrop Harbor
I've been appointed police officer for the village of Winthrop Harbor
in Lake County, Illinois,
in Lake County, Illinois.
do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America,
to support the, say that?
that I will support the Constitution,
Sorry, I got to talk to your mayor.
okay,
Support the Constitution
of the United States of
of the
America,
United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois.
and that I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of a patrol officer,
the duties of police officer
okay, to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so Jason's on duty, he's got the earbud piece in, and the dispatcher's talking to him, so he's trying to do three things at once. Jason comes to us from the North Chicago Police Department, where he spent 20 years and retired, and had a myriad of assignments there, a high-volume activity. And I asked Sergeant Bogdala to join us because he's the one that recruited him. And Jason started with us after his retirement from North Chicago part-time, and when we had a full-time position open, asking the department who they'd like to see become full-time and who they'd like to join us, they all selected Jason unanimously. So we're super proud that he's here. He's already had a huge impact on our operations. One of his many jobs in North Chicago, he was the evidence technician and the evidence custodian for 10 plus years, I think. Yeah, and we're getting a new system that he's going to help us with. And, you know, he's already had a huge impact on what we're doing.
I've known Jason now for 41 years. We met when we were 3 years old, so they'll tell you how old we are. Went to school together, we wrestled together, we played together. We started at North Chicago. He was there a couple years before me, and now we're working together again here, so it's really great. You know, we've worked together such a long time. We know each other's moves and mannerisms and everything, so another, like Chief said, another great addition to our team, and we're very happy to have him.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Congratulations.
Now I'll call up Richard Brown.
And Rick, would you have your family join us and introduce to us who you got here with you tonight? Sure. And Jason's wife and kids, the kids are little ones, and they're in bed already, and for tomorrow's school, I think that was the best thing.
Tonight I have my lovely wife, Kimberly, 30 years in a couple weeks, and my daughter, Amy, and my son, Jimmy. He's Air Force Security Forces, so he's law enforcement for the Air Force, and they're joining me today.
All right. I state your name.
I, Richard Brown.
Having been appointed a police officer
Having been appointed a police officer
for the village of Winthrop Harbor,
for the village of Winthrop Harbor
Lake County, Illinois,
in Lake County, Illinois,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States of America,
of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of a patrol officer
the duties of a patrol officer
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
I gotta find it.
There somewhere.
There it is.
So ceremonially, when a family's here, we like to have them pin on the badge officially onto
So
new officer.
I'm gonna have my son and my wife pin me tonight, so she hasn't had the opportunity to do this yet, so one is gonna help me with the lapel and the other one's gonna help with the pin. Oh, go ahead. Just slip it. There we go.
All right. Rick comes to us after retiring from 20 years at the Zion Police Department, where he obtained like a sergeant. Of course, just like Jason, a lot of activity, a lot of experience, investigator and all kinds of things. Same thing, he's with us part-time now, and he's already helped us tremendously in multiple cases and a multitude of things. Besides that, Rick is also a veteran of the United States Army, combat veteran of the 82nd Airborne Division. So with many military folks that have joined us, Rick is one of those people that has also raised his hand on multiple occasions and solemnly swore to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States. So we thank you for your service. and thank you for your son's service. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you, and welcome aboard, sir.
We all owe this to.
Yeah,
Bill as
and
well.
Bill's up here again because Bill is also the one that's been talking little birdies in Rick's ear for a number of years. And got him to come on board, and we're super happy that that happened.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I have the floor, if I can say, we have one more kind of little impromptu thing. Where's he at? There he is. Chris, stand up. Just stand up. So as you all know, Chris still serves in our armed forces as a reservist with the United States Navy's security forces, and he was just promoted to Petty Officer First Class E6. Last year he was there, his unit's Petty Officer of the Year. So some of those accolades just wanted to say congratulations on your new rank and your promotion. Thank you very much.
Wow. All right, we move on to
Good stuff.
the fourth item. I need a motion for approval of the settlement agreement between Village of Winthrop Harbor and Commonwealth Edison Company.
Second.
The resolution in your packet is approving a settlement agreement with ComEd. And Bob, could you provide us with an overview of the settlement?
I can't give you too many details because there's a confidentiality agreement, but basically there was an audit on the utility, and we worked out some terms and conditions, finding that there were some holes in some of the building that this resolves.
Thank you.
We had hired a consultant to do this work a couple of years ago, and this should be the last couple pieces of the work that they've worked on in various utilities in town.
The total amount for the settlement?
It's $15,000, of which we get about $9,000, if I remember correctly. I looked at it 2 weeks ago. I can't quite remember the numbers.
All right, thank you, Bob. Ask for a roll call.
Cargill?
Aye.
Levin?
Aye.
Mirabella?
Aye.
McCarthy?
Aye.
White?
Aye.
Whitmore? Aye.
Motion carried. A couple other items under Mayor's report. December 3rd, 2022, we had a Santa Claus Day. I want to thank everyone on the board, staff, and community volunteers for their help with the Breakfast with Santa, the Santa Run Toy Collection Drive, Lights Parade, and Tree Lighting Ceremony. It was a series of great events for our community, and we collected so many toys for our children. I also like to thank Santa and Mrs. Claus for coming down from the North Pole and spending a day with us. I know they had a lot on their schedule, so I really appreciate them coming out and greeting our children in the Village of Winthrop Harbor. And all the toys we collected will stay right here and go to our village, our children, our toys for our tots. Christmas message I want to give everyone. I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, a happy, safe, and healthy New Year. So we move on to new business, committee reports, administration and community development. Trustee Hardy.
Make a motion to approve accounts payable warrant 2022-8 in the amount of $419,589.10.
Okay, one thing I want to say, I always ask Julie about the warrant as to where the money went, or, the breakdown of it, and she gave me this tonight. $81,021.04 is out of the manual checks of $101,049.34 was a final payment to Chicagoland Paving for our 2022 street improvements. So if it hadn't come out of there, we would have had a lot less money in the warrant. But I just like to, for the transparency, let everyone know that we're really being good stewards of everyone's the revenue, but everyone's tax dollars. So, anybody else have any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Cargill?
Aye.
Levin?
Aye.
Mirabella?
Aye.
McCarthy?
Aye.
White?
Aye.
Whitmore? Aye.
Motion carried.
Then we have the October 2022 monthly financial report. Are we having a discussion on that? Or just if there's questions?
Just a quick overview. Sure.
Again, I want to thank Julie and her staff, Debbie and Kara, for their assistance in pulling all this together. The report we're continuing to fine tune to give you an overview and more information so that you could make decisions regarding your finances. So we'll continue to consolidate this. There's a lot of information in here now, and I have it on a lot of different pages, but I'll continue to work that down so that it's a little bit easier to look at. And we added debt service information this time. It'll help you with some of the discussions you're going to have later. We'll add some insurance information on top of that, in addition to what you have for your annual renewal. If you look at page 1, if you don't have a lot of time to look over your financials, just read over this one page. And it'll give you kind of a basic overview of where everything went and where the financials are. Page 2 is the projects that all of you allowed in this year's budget. And as you can see, they're either in process or have been completed. And the only ones on hold are those that were hiring some part-time folks. And again, the market kind of prevented us from actually doing that. It was so difficult to place part-time people. I did find a recreation person that's working out very well. But other than that, the only ones that are on hold are those hires. The next page is page 3. You're used to seeing that. That's kind of an overview of all the financials, so you know where all the dollars are and how each one of the funds are doing. The next page, number 4, is something we need to deal with by our next meeting. As you can see, you've got $5 million in cash available to you. And what we talked about before was trying to invest this on a short-term basis to earn some interest. And that's not always going to be $5 million. It's going to come down to about 2 by the end of the year. So that tells us we could invest about $1 million. $1 million at 4% is a good chunk of money by the end of the year. So what we'll do by next time is to place some investments that everybody's comfortable with, and then we should be earning interest on these, and that's what we'll be looking at from month to month, is how the interest earned compares to the market, and what that is a performance measure. The next page is your debt instruments. Now, I'll expand on this a little bit next time to include the months in which those payments are due. But the important thing on page 5 is to look at the very bottom. And again, you're going to have a discussion later. But what this does is tells you when you have room to issue more debt based on your debt service payments now. You know you can afford so much, that's based on the past years. So you can afford that in leases and annual payments, or purchasing power, or however you want to handle that. But that last amount, that last number that says proceeds, those are the proceeds that you could get in today's market by issuing debt as those debt service payments fall off. So it just, it's part of the discussion we need to have. And when you're looking at things in a long-term basis, we'll be looking at the vehicle replacement shortly, facility replacements. You're looking at capital. And in capital, that's kind of broken down between stormwater, streets, concrete. There's a number of different things you could look at. And all that is impacted by this. How much are you willing to afford out of your total operating budget? This will give you a rough idea of that, and we'll continue to fine-tune this. Now, the next page, page 6, is what I took was the detail from MSI, and I put that into an Excel format. So it should be a little bit easier for you to look at if you're looking for something specific here. But if you would turn to page 14, you can see that's where the totals are. So what I did in that one column, and I'm not going to go over every one, is we made an estimate of where we think we're either going to be over or under on revenue and on expense. And what it nets out to is on page 14 is the bottom line in that last column. It says $85,000. So looking at today's market and today's dollars as of this report in October, we think we'll be $85,000 in the black. And after that, we budgeted for, you'll see $282,000, but $250,000 of that has to go to debt, to pay off that debt and capital. So we're looking at about $110,000 today. Now, after we do the exempt pay increases, we'll be able to fine-tune this a little bit better and give you a good idea on a more hard number of where we think we're going to end the year. But I know everybody's concerned about the general fund, and we should be. That's the biggest dollar amount. But it's important to know where we think that estimate's going to be by April 30th. Right now, this is where we think it's gonna be. We should be in the black of about $100,000. I'm not gonna go through each one of the funds. I think, they should be a little bit self-explanatory. But water and sewer, I did want to mention that water and sewer revenue is coming in a little bit lower than we anticipated. But again, we just put the increase in and coming in January. But Tim's doing a good job of holding off those expenses, so the expenses are matching the revenue coming in. So that's coming in on target. The last page I want to mention is page 26. Page 26 is your capital projects, and you can see that there's 3 capital projects there now. There's only one line that says, exactly what the status is. So as an elected official, and it's important to know, how much money has gone out the door. Is the project on target? To be finished when it's supposed to be, and what's the status of that? So right now, they're in the bidding stage, and they're just getting construction permits. So a number of things that we're looking at. But again, there's probably going to be a paragraph for each one of these lines in months to come, where you'll get the total status of that project. That's not something you'll have to ask for, and then Jim has all the detail that you'll need on any of these. Any of the insurance information, or exactly where we are, payouts, and certain contractors. So, again, this just keeps you posted on the 3 big projects you have. As you move along, both this page and the next. The next is capital project, or capital purchases. But again, that number is gonna get changed from year to year, so it's important to know when we're purchasing these, what's on hold and what's in process. So I know this is a little bit different format. I hope it's more of the information that you need to look at. If there's anything else you need, you're looking for, as far as detail, let me know. And then I'll continue to improve this from month to month as we move along. But I hope it's all good information, and department heads are doing a good job of holding their expenses right at where the budget should be.
Are you surprised with any of the numbers? I mean...
No, I'm surprised at the revenue mistake that I made. But there was one revenue item I didn't include. That was a property tax levy for the additional taxes that you receive at the end of the year, $25,000, and then the police levy was missed, so that came in a little bit higher. But again, sales tax, you're going to have to take a look at. It's coming in a little bit lower than it should. But still, it's just something we got to monitor. We've got to watch the expense side. And it's going to take, I always tell David and everyone, you got to go through a cycle where you've done the budget, you've done the audit, you've done the interim reporting. When you do the budget next year, it's going to make a lot more sense. And you're going to have a lot more accurate numbers and estimates on everything. And everybody's going to be used to the process. So, I'm not really surprised. I mean, inflation's high, and fuel is high, everything else is high, and those are things that we have to watch in the total scheme of arguing about a general fund. So,
Thank you, Nick. Any questions for Nick? All right. Thank you, Nick. Roll call?
We don't have to approve that, it's just...
Okay.
a report.
All right, very good. We move on to public safety.
I still have one more item. So item 3, make a motion to approve a resolution adopting a deferred compensation plan.
Second. Basically, what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring more programs to the employees, especially since we're getting new employees that are a little bit younger. We're trying to bring the tools in order for them to properly plan for their retirement in the future. This proposed plan would be at no cost to the village. All service fees associated with the plan would be paid for by the participants.
And we have a plan already, but it's not something that has been really brought to everyone's attention. I mean, it's been in the plan.
What we're trying to accomplish by working with the local business, to be able to have more interactions with the employees, to advertise the program and benefits of the program.
Any other questions? All right. This was indented, so that's why I didn't pick up these 3 different. Sorry about that.
Now we do need a roll call.
Okay, roll call, please.
Target.
Aye.
Levin. Marabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Trustee Harger. We move on to public safety. Trustee McCarthy.
All right, first, just going to get an update on the K-9 grant. So Chief and Sergeant Bagdala, any updates?
Bill, go right ahead, bud. Sure, Grant.
So the ZOS grant, which we were successful in gaining the last few years, has gone the way of the dodo. But before they left, they bestowed upon us a sizable amount of $40,000. That'll keep us going, hopefully through the twilight years for Hondo. And then maybe enough left over to keep the program running for another younger officer who wants to go through all the training and late nights for K-9, so, yeah.
What was our normal annual?
About $9,000.
About $9,000 we used to get a year.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask.
So that's gonna be 4+ years
Yeah.
that the program will be funded. So,
That's awesome.
that's a big win for us.
Now, how'd you get the 40,000? I mean, was it just, you knew some people?
Well, we're one of the we're one of the departments that actually use the money exactly how it's supposed to be. We
Oh.
do the reports. Michael's very good with Bill. They collaborate on the reporting and how it's used and where it's used, and it's used, for food and upkeep and vet bills and all those kind of things that it's supposed to go for. As you all know, in the grant world, one of the biggest things they look at is do the people that receive the grant actually spend it on what they're supposed to. And we've been very successful in doing that, very, real good stewards of that money. And it's really helped support our organization in that program for a number of years. So it's sad that it's going away, but they left us quite a sizable donation. And so we're looking at 4 to 5 years of operating budgets for that program.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Rick.
Bill. That was discussion.
Yeah, and then also a discussion on the ComEd light installation at the Ema building.
Yeah, this one I'm going to put over to Mike Sheedy because he's the one that did it all and deserves all the credits. But this was another sizable grant that we saved a ton of money. Mike, if you want.
So we did a LED assessment village-wide. We received 3 different proposals for the different locations, recreation, one for the property here and then one for our building down on 7th Street. Due to budget restraints, we're not able to do this one in recreation right now, but the cost of the building on 7th Street, the install cost is about $4,900, and it cost us just over $500 out of pocket after all the ComEd rebates and incentives and those types of things.
Yeah, so we're able to take out all the old, fluorescent bulbs that were just horrible and not very efficient, replace it with all the LEDs. They did all the work. They did all the contract work. They ripped it out, put it in, and if I remember correctly. And, we were able to just, spend $500 out of our own funds that we had for building maintenance, and the entire place now is like daylight down there instead of a dark dungeon. So it was a really great update to the building at a sizable cost savings.
And significant energy savings.
Most important, switching all over to LED.
Yeah, I went in there last week and saw these light fixtures in the hallway. What the heck? I figured that's what it was.
Yeah, those are the old ones.
Yeah, I mean, who did the work?
A company called BA Solutions, or a ComEd contractor.
Okay.
They came out, great company to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of our last, we've taken the EMA building and really revitalized it, reused it. It's become patrol operations, and that's been about a year-long project that really has cost us almost nothing because all the labor has been the officers in the department. Sergeant Magdala has been the lead on that. We've transferred what we had here as a closet locker room, and we have a real locker room now for the officers. Each one of the sergeants have a desk and an office they can call their own. Able to put our squad cars inside and keep them in better condition as best we can. Have a workout facility there where all the equipment's been either donated or paid for from the police association, so it's truly cost us about zero.
Was LED lighting just in the garage in the Bay Area, or was it inside?
It wasn't there. We did the garage initially on our own. Went to Walmart or Menards and got $16 LED lighting and put it in all ourselves. When we saw the great difference and huge improvement, that's when Mike went forward and applied for the grant and got it. And it's been a really, truly night and day difference.
Replaced all the fixtures down there.
Yeah.
Can lights and
Can lights, everything, all over to LED.
Yeah, it's definitely daylighted. Yeah,
It's
bright.
been a great,
But, yeah, good job. I
Great
like it. It's really nice.
transformation.
If trustees haven't been over there, please go over and take a look at it.
I can't say enough about Mike and Bill's collaboration on that and getting that job done. It's been really a great project.
Some of those lights, when you flip them on, they took a while to warm up. It's great.
Yeah, the old school.
Yeah, the old ones, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing an intergovernmental agreement for participation in the mutual aid box alarm system.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Target.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carries.
Make a motion to adopt the line of duty death and catastrophic injury policies.
Any discussion on that? Roll call, please.
Target.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carried.
Make a motion to adopt a new policy for our smoke alarm program.
Second.
One discussion, anybody have something? I wanted to ask, I have mine hot wired, but they don't work. So am I gonna be able to get some smoke detectors in my house?
Well, you're the mayor.
That's
why he's asking.
I read the paperwork. How many are you gonna get? Like 40 of them?
So, well, I'll start from the beginning.
Yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I found a program through the State Fire Marshal's Office and the Illinois Fire Safety Alliance. They put out this program for free smoke detectors for fire departments that want to participate. So I put in for it, and we got it. January 1st, Illinois, in their infinite wisdom, is demanding everybody has 10-year seal smoke detectors. They're not smoke alarms, they're detectors. So I said, well, yeah, we probably have a lot of folks that use a free smoke detector. So we're gonna get 24 at a time shipped to us. After the first year, we're gonna market this out. Our crews will come out and install the smoke detector, give a little home safety spiel, have them sign a waiver for us, Bob. I think we're gonna have to come up with one. And so I thought that'd be a great opportunity for the fire department in the village to be out there and do something good for people.
They're not combo units, they're just smoke, they're not CO.
I believe these are just smokes, sir. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, cool. I'm interested, so.
I got 24 now, so I have to get through the holidays, and we'll push this out, and
Yeah.
our crews will go by and on request. Not for rental units, though. These have to be single-family houses.
Right.
So,
Okay. Thank you, Rocky.
yes.
Any roll calls?
Target.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
And Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carried.
Now I will hand it over to Chief Campanella for a discussion on new ambulance.
This seems to be the hot topic. I'm a big guy, but I want people to be able to see around me, so if I'm in the way, throw something at me. Can you go back to the monitors? My whole career is on. I think it's on the P's. See that word? That's Florida.
Yeah, actually, yes.
Better than last day, we tried to.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll figure it out. Well, thank you, Mayor and trustees, for allowing me the time to give you some facts about what's going on with our ambulance. Like I said, there's no good place to stand here, so.
You're right. You're good.
Okay.
I can't see around.
You put on your shirt.
You don't need to see
You're good, right? You
So,
speak, you project. That's all.
in 1997, when the Barber Fire Department originally purchased 2 MedTech ambulances to initiate its transition to advanced life support program, that's for the paramedic service, the advanced life support. In late 2007, these ambulances were replaced with the current fleet, 1741 and 1742.
Both of those ambulances were purchased in '07 then?
That's correct.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
One is gone,
Okay.
and the other one is still here. I don't know if it's in service. It's not in service right now. I don't know if they're repairable yet. We'll get into that. In 2016, 1741 was taken out of service due to engine issues and we utilized an old ambulance from the Newport Fire Protection District to serve our citizens. So we had to borrow one then too. A new 1741 was purchased by the village and went into service September of that year. I believe that was an emergency purchase, if I'm speaking correctly. After a new ambulance arrived, 1742 was repowered. The other ambulance, I'm surprised the issues we've had in the past with the equipment here. 1742 was repowered with a new motor at Viper's Auto Service. So the village will not have to buy or replace 2 ambulances once again in the future. Viper's guaranteed that motor for 5 years. And,
So a new,
2016,
it
yeah.
was serviced in 2016 when the new ambulance arrived.
Right.
And that's the one that's not,
And that's our current 1742 over there right now,
okay.
that we've had some pretty good issues with.
Now, has maintenance been kept up on that one over the last 5 years? I mean, just
Yeah,
how it got...
I can only speak for when I got into this
Okay.
department and put a lot of money, $50,000 into the apparatus to get them up to an NFPA level
Right,
where things are good to go, and we're maintaining that now.
right. I know in the past, a guy by the name of Patrick Michael used to
Right.
maintain all the ambulances and the equipment that you had in the fire station. He's no longer with us, so I didn't know
Right.
what you were doing, taking them out, servicing them, whenever they needed it, or on a regular schedule. But 5 years, it's just, I don't know, I know it gets a lot of use, I know that.
Right.
But I don't know much about ambulances and how often they should be maintained.
Yeah, so it goes a lot by call cycle.
Okay.
Another busier department, it's gonna be a lot more often than here, and
Right.
vice versa.
Right.
But things do get old just sitting as well. I can guarantee you, since I've been here, my number one focus is making sure equipment is operational.
Right. Now, this one
This
had
one's
a
another baby here.
this one had a whole new engine put in it.
That's correct, in 2016,
A whole new engine.
and it was guaranteed for 5 years,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you.
So let's talk about 1742 a little more. Since being placed in service in 2007, 1742 has operated over 5,000 hours, 73,000 miles, responded to 4,300 incidents, and has about over 300 multiple calls. Multiple calls is when the first ambulance goes, that one's ready to respond.
Right.
In the past 3 years, 1742 has been taken out of service or been able to respond to emergencies due to mechanical issues over a dozen times.
Can you go back to the previous slide just real quick?
Sure.
So the 300 multiple ambulance calls, so since 2007, so in 15 years, there were 300 times where we had both ambulances out at the same time. Is that what that's saying?
Yeah. I could tell you in the past week, it's been like 3 times, because I have my radar right now.
Chief, I helped compile some of the data for this. If that does not count incidents where we had fire incidents going on, the ambulance responded as well, because we weren't able to obtain that data. That's strictly ambulance calls.
Okay.
There have been several times in 1742 as a backup ambulance has responding to calls that were more severe than the one that the primary ambulance was on. Sometimes we'll go to a less severe call, but then the severe call comes in, and we have to handle that. I want to stress that these things are moving billboards representing our village. Okay, they're going down the road with Winthrop Harbor all over it, and there's some pride involved with that for you guys as well as all of us. And when we see something not operating and it looks old, it reflects on all of us, whether we like to think so or not.
When you take it out of service, what do you guys do?
As far as,
You're just down to,
we're just down to one and calling more mutual aid.
But Rocky, because this ambulance has had trouble, you guys have been concentrating on the one that doesn't have the problem, so you're using that even more frequently.
Yeah, that's our frontline ambulance
Right, I
now,
understand.
and that's getting all the miles now.
Yeah, and wear and tear.
Yes. But like I said, I'll touch on that in a second, because I have been pushing a good preventative maintenance program, okay, to get us through. Believe me, I know we're the village of Winthrop Harbor. Nobody wants to spend a lot of money on an ambulance. I get it. The NFPA only recognizes certification tests for 7 years. Ambulance patient compartments that were not originally built to NFPA should not be remounted, because the topic did come up. What if we could take the back box where the patient goes in and put that on another vehicle? This is beyond that. It wouldn't be worth doing that.
it's not a cheap solution either.
Right.
They're saying the typical ambulance only, for certification, it was only good for 7 years.
It is. That's a standard. Obviously, we can't do that. We can't even do that at my full-time department. Usually, we get about 4 or 5 years frontline. They go to a reserve status, and we do that cycle. Here, it could be a little longer because we don't run as many calls as my other place.
So NFPA is giving you a best practice, not a mandate.
Correct. It's not mandated.
Right.
However, when we go to court, they might look at it as, you know, a mandate. The U.S. Government Services Administration specifies that the operational life of a diesel ambulance in use by federal agencies should not exceed 7 years or 100,000 miles, whichever occurs first.
How many miles is on this?
73,000.
This is
Okay.
73,000. So,
Well, that's also under the repower, right?
right. This,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not running like we do other places, but this, I'm not gonna say here, because it sits, it doesn't age as well, because sitting isn't that good for a,
Sitting's worse than going.
right?
And short distances is worse than long distances.
It
And
is.
keep in mind, with the ambulances, we're talking about hours as well, not necessarily miles,
Exactly.
because they do more sitting, idling, than they do driving.
How many hours is on it?
I don't know how many hours, I don't know if there's a way to find out how many hours are on that year of a vehicle. So,
Okay.
our new ones, I don't have the hours on them. So here we go with the purchase and what we have in front of us. As a result of the supply chain shortages from COVID-19, the delivery emergency vehicle has more than doubled. That's with everything we do now, right? It's no different for us. In 2019, the expected times for delivery for a standard ambulance was 12 to 24 weeks. If we were in that predicament now, I could understand the concern of delay. And let's hold on because we have some time. However, we're at 96 to 104 weeks out. I think we're at 102 for this particular one, like 2 years away. We got to make a decision. It's inevitable that we're going to get an ambulance, right? If we order one now, we have options for finance or lease. I have 2 quotes for finance that I forwarded to David. In the past, we talked about a Metro lease option, which was a pretty sweet deal. They would, buy the ambulance, we'd lease it from them, they would handle all maintenance. However, I don't know what has happened, but now I talked to them like this past week, because of what we're doing here. They have to buy the ambulance and pay taxes on it, we don't. And that would have added like $18,000, I think they said, to the price of the ambulance, which would have made our payments go up. So that's not really an option. The financing has come in at like 4.8 to 5%. Payments aren't due until we get it, or even after that. I'm sure they'll take your money early if you want, but either way, we do not have to start paying until after delivery. So, like I said, there's probably options for making payments early. What if we wait? If we do not order now, then inevitability of purchasing the ambulance just pushed further out. Our surrounding towns are busy enough without having to consistently cover for our second ambulance. There are mutual aid agreements. We sign on to them. That was pointed out to me. But that is not in the spirit of what those mutual aid agreements are for. Mutual aid agreements are for not covering because we're not getting our own equipment on the road. It's to help in a bind, sporadically. Now, I have some pull with other departments around us that I know people. I'm sure we could patch things over if it was known that a delivery was on the way. But we wouldn't want to keep sending our ambulance to another town either all the time, right?
How often do we?
I'm sorry?
How often are we sending our ambulances for mutual aid?
It's mostly Zion. It's in your monthly report.
Right.
I don't know the number off the top of my head, but Zion's coming up here a lot. I'd have to look at my reports. But it's probably at least once a week, vice versa. Wouldn't you guys say?
I get the e-dispatch, I see a lot of mutual aid.
Yeah.
And I get it for Winthrop Harbor, so imagine that mutual aid response on e-dispatches for us going somewhere.
I want to be careful of what I say here, because I don't want to expose to
I see it a lot.
liability.
I see it a lot. I think you're right when you say once a week.
The folks last week went out on a call, the ambulance wouldn't go over 20 miles per hour, and a second call in 1742. The turnaround to come back here, call mutual aid, get in the engine, and that's when I let some of you people know about what's going on with the vehicle.
Was there a patient on the vehicle?
No, they were going to the call.
Thank goodness.
That would have been great to have a patient in there.
Well, vice versa, if you were having chest pain that
Oh,
took that
I
long
can
too,
imagine.
you know what? At least we have stuff in the back to stabilize somebody
Yeah.
while we call, right? So we have our salesman in the room here, Kevin Hunter from AEV Ambulance, if there's any further questions too. I'd like to get through this and.
Yeah. I'd like to, I'd like to ask about the price change on that. So
Yep.
why does the price change in January?
Yeah, so we've had this quote for 4 months now.
Okay.
And as you can imagine, holding a quote like that, in this day and age with supply chain issues, prices always going up on building materials, it's just gone up. They've held it 4 months now. And every month we say next month. But now he can't hold it anymore. I'll let him speak for that if he wants. But can I just get through this real quick?
Sure.
Sorry. We were lucky enough to meet AEV's deadline for installing the Stryker cot system at a lower price. The Stryker cot system now is $53,000. It's ridiculous. And this is the automated cot, that's the industry standard now, that the paramedics don't have to lift. And you just put it into the ambulance, press the buttons, and slide it in. That's the industry standard now. But they know that, and that's probably why there's $53,000. And that's at a lower price because we quoted this in 4 months ago. Beach Park and Zion did not get this option due to our quote being 4 months old. The Stryker Powerload cot system is $53,000, and if we wait another month, I don't know how much more, because Kevin doesn't deal with that. You can correct me in a minute, but that alone is going to go up quite a bit more. The ambulance itself is guaranteed to go up at least $12,000 to $15,000 next month if we wait. And it's not like I'm just throwing this on anybody now, saying we need to hurry and do this. We've all known. That $12,500 to $15,000 plus interest, if we delay, I'm a taxpayer in this community. I care. I think that's a waste. All we have to do is just simply sign for it now. We have a lot of time to figure out that financing. You can go to any one of these. I did it this week, asked about Texas and Policing Incorporated. The guy had me a full price ready the next day. So it's not like this is rocket science. And that's my, the fire department is my passion, okay? But I'm also a taxpayer. It's inevitable that we are going to get an ambulance, so why in God's earth would we delay this and pay more money? I don't get it. Another monetary aspect. It could be argued that maintaining 2 ambulances will assist in reducing costs at the fire department and contribute to the general fund through ambulance billing revenue. Okay, every time those rigs go out the door, it's $1,500 to $2,000 that we bill out. I don't want to put monetary aspects on somebody's medical problems, but it's a reality, is the business part of this, okay?
That's if they end up transporting someone?
Yes. I'd say probably 10% aren't.
Okay.
But here's another, I got to actually highlight it. Each mutual aid ambulance call reduces that, because the town that comes in to Winthrop Harbor for that ambulance gets to bill for that patient. So that's money out of our pocket. I don't want, like I said, it's hard to put a monetary value on a medical emergency, but, well, you're a chiropractor, right?
I get paid when services are rendered.
Yeah, we do too. Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services require ambulance billing revenue to be paid out to ambulance that transports the patient, and that's a requirement. Zion comes here, they're billing for that patient. Right. We go to Zion, we're billing for that patient. We are getting the best price possible by purchasing off of the HGAC procurement program, Houston Galveston Area Council. This is a competitively bid procurement system that pretty much many of the ambulances, correct me if I'm wrong, Kevin, are being purchased through that program. It's been competitively bid. And we know what we want. That's the nice thing about it. Correct me if I'm wrong, if that's not right, but that's what I've done for 5 now at my other place. Plug your ears for a second. This AEV ambulance is not the Taj Mahal or the Cadillac. It's the Ford. And the options on it that we have are sustainable, not over the top. $314,000 with that Stryker cot. It's just what it costs now. Why pay any more than that? This price is also put in with Zion and Beach Park. And we thought getting together, and I had conversations with people before about this and getting the pricing. Beach Park needs an ambulance, Zion needs an ambulance, we need one. So it was like, well, let's see if we can get together and save a couple bucks on it.
Which is normal procedure, I mean, in most areas.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough government cooperation. Right? I think
Right.
them getting together and trying to purchase together and that
Save
way-
some money.
Yeah, and it may even lead to, I think.
It's a negligible amount, it was what, $6,000 or something like that. What's that?
6,000.
Yeah. But we thought that was a good PR move on our part to do that. Now, I'd hate for us to back out of the deal and their price goes up, but that's what you guys have to decide. Looking into the future, need to develop a capital replacement plan for vehicles and equipment. I know Nick, is Nick here? He's helped with that already, trying to get something. These prices are not coming down. A fire truck right now, I'm not asking for a fire truck. But that's 4 years out.
Last one, we spent a lot on them, we didn't use it, so
Right.
we're not getting that.
4 years out from signing, this thing's too. So we gotta make sure we're fixing our vehicles and taking care of them.
The fire truck is actually 4 years out?
4 years out. Yeah. Need to enhance our preventive maintenance plan. I feel that I've done that since I've gotten here. That ambulance was too far gone.
I was just gonna say,
But,
not in the past, but you've done
Right.
it since you've been here. Unfortunate. I agree.
I have a meeting set up with David, and David had a good idea of maybe working cooperatively with another government, maybe Zion. They have a mechanic shop. See if we can utilize them for some of our preventative maintenance items, you know, seeing what we could do. But we gotta get more life out of these vehicles to take care of them. And we hope that with our diligence, we'll never be in this predicament again. Okay? I'm passionate about this. This is my deal. I'm a taxpayer, and I just don't understand why we would not just do this and save a little bit of money. It's all the $15,000 plus the difference in the top. You know, and I want to say, if I could throw an editorial in here, I've gotten $215,000 from federal government. I've gotten a couple smaller grants for traffic cones and safety equipment, airbags. We're probably at $220,000 in the year that I've been here. I've increased the ambulance billing. We're making more money on the ambulance bill. I've reduced our budget in my eyes. So I think I've done my part. Okay? I think our department has done our part. It'd be nice to see something reciprocated. And I know you guys' number one priority is health and safety of the community.
Well, if history tells you anything, you can ask Tim. We waited 3 years and we got a third of our building because we were waiting on a grant, which we got.
Yeah, it took a while.
We got the grant, but we kicked the can down the road, and now we're getting a third less of what we could have had. Knowing we were getting the grant, we could have got that money. I mean, we didn't know it was in stone. We kind of thought we were. We lost a third of what we would have, we got a third of what we would have had.
Well, what are we gonna do? Wait until they're both out of service and
I'm
then
not
what,
saying
not
that.
have
I'm
any
saying the
EMT
total
program?
opposite. If you listen to what I said, if history repeats itself, we will not do this. But if we do it, we'll be smart. We won't stuck in the bag we got stuck in.
So you look at
Point I
this.
was making.
One of the things to consider here is, we all acknowledge we need to replace our equipment. An ambulance is very important. A squad car is very important. Public Works is very important. The thing that we recommend for the board to do is, we do acknowledge about the need for the ambulance, but we also have to take into consideration the funding for all of our vehicles to make sure that everybody can respond and do their jobs. When we talk about saving money, we do need to save money. In the past, when needs arise, we end up taking out loans or leasing vehicles or purchasing vehicles with different purchasing. You'll see in each different vehicle that we purchase, we've had a different interest rate.
Right.
When we take a look at our overall needs for vehicle replacements, we need to go ahead and take a look at the village as a whole and maximize the interest rates that we get.
But if we're gonna have a fire department, this is the biggest need we have, I think. I know fire trucks, I wasn't a fireman, my great uncle wasn't. You know, my dad was a volunteer fireman for a while. If you're gonna do that, this is like the main important piece to that, and life safety. I mean, that's, so if you're gonna stick your neck out and say, we're gonna have a village fire department, then we should have an ambulance that works, and like he's saying, and that's, it makes the most, not to put it that way, about making money, but it does make the most money for the departments, which is unfortunate. I rode in one less, over a year, you know, I did. If it wasn't for that, who knows what would happen to me? I fell. They got me to Libertyville. 3 months later, I was walking and doing whatever. But it's very important. If we're going to do this, to me, just me as a village resident too, and a taxpayer. If we're going to say we're going to have a fire department, we need to bite the bullet, I think. I mean, everything he's laid out is saying we need this. We're going to save X amount of money. If we don't do it, we're going to still need it, but it's going to cost us more.
I completely see the need of saving money. Obviously, our village does not have the funds. Obviously, we have several areas where we can still slash funds in order to put money towards something as important as an ambulance. But if we're on the topic of vehicle replacement and vehicle purchasing, there was such a need to get Greg a vehicle 4 days after he was sworn in or brought on. You know, nobody even brought that up. That was never voted on. That was never a topic of conversation. The only conversation we had is asking if he was going to get a car, which we were then told no. You know, now we're going to put this on the wayside, and it's an ambulance. You know, we've got how many vehicles, how many people have take-home vehicles in this village, and no one seems to raise any concern with that, but an ambulance, we're going to sit here and raise concern.
Here's the point that Dave was trying to make, and in the interest of financing, when you have to pay interest rates on each individual vehicle that we get, you're paying a whole lot more money. Besides, we're 2 years out on this ambulance. I think if we can postpone this until next month, till we get our capital's approval, we can do $1.5 million at least, I think. Am I right, Nick? In purchasing vehicles for public works, the ambulance, those squads, and we can put this all under one umbrella, one interest rate for all these vehicles, instead of having to pay interest rates on
Fritz,
each
I haven't had an
individual
answer to
vehicle.
that, if I could. We can order this today and not sign any papers on financing until you guys figure that out. And state.
Well, one thing too, Rocky, this is a discussion, we can't motion and second this, because it's only a discussion, so we have to wait till next month's village board meeting anyway.
Are you serious?
Correct, Bob?
Are you serious?
Yes, I am. You can't violate state law in order to buy something. You know, you can't.
Respectfully, though,
you
how is
can't-
that violating state law?
Because you're entering into a contract without it having been on an agenda and open for public discussion.
That's not what this, I was under the assumption that that's what this was.
That's
It is
not,
a discussion.
there is no contract.
So this is a bait and switch. Thank you. Thank you.
No, I'm just saying, I mean,
Thank you.
I had to ask Bob that question.
All right.
Since this was a discussion, if we approve this, if the board wanted to go along with this, we still have to wait till next month to put it on for a motion and second. I mean, I didn't know that. I was looking at it, I thought, I had to ask Bob that question.
We were played.
So,
We were played.
I did not know that going into this, you know. But I know we need this, but, you know, we have to do our due diligence. I mean,
Mr. Mayor?
even if we got this, even if we sign this, we still got 2 years before we take possession, so we're gonna have to fix this old ambulance. I don't like to stick money into something like that, but unfortunately, we're gonna have to. We're gonna have to fix it.
Can we ask Kevin?
Mr. Hunter, is there a way that we can put this proposal honoring the same price at the next village board meeting for consideration and ratification?
We've, first of all, my name is Kevin Hunter, I'm with American Response Vehicles. It's a complicated subject. I've been selling this brand of ambulances now for 16 years. So I've seen a lot about the industry, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions about where we're in now. I can't see this. The situation that this industry is in now, it's entirely up to you on how much time you want to spend with it. As far as the pricing it was something that was worked out. This is a project that's been requested of us to be involved in for 6 months. We've had, through the manufacturer being Ford, we've had 6 price increases in 7 months. These are constantly going up. We're seeing contracts come behind to municipalities now that are roving contracts. In other words, you sign it for $300, but it's open-ended, because if anything happens between those 2 years, you're on the hook for this. My company doesn't do that. It is what it is. It's already baked into what we think might happen and where we think it's going to go. But the cost of the raw materials is what's driving this thing crazy. Before COVID, ambulances were built in 26 weeks from time of order. Post-COVID, which is the world we're in, they're 102 weeks. Not only are they 102 weeks, but the cost of the products that are going into these ambulances now, not even the labor aspect. We've had the same labor force for 34 years. What's happening now around the country, the number one place where aluminum comes from is Russia. That lends its own problems to what we have right now. And so, as you look at this, I have gotten price protection 2 different times from the manufacturer, which is AEV. I've gotten price protection 2 different times on this. I can't go any further. This isn't a matter of whether it's we like or we don't like. I was charged with, in the beginning of this project, saying, hey, why don't we try to put something together that will involve multiple municipalities. The one thing I can tell you about the fire service, because I'm also a retired firefighter, I've done it for 25 years. Why we all look the same and we're on the fire scene and it's harmony, I can tell you we all operate differently. We all feel different features on our ambulances and our fire apparatus are unique to us and what we do in our districts. So, and I can say this because we did this 12 years ago with Beach Park and Zion. We got together in Newport and said, let's all in the same room design one ambulance, exactly to what you had brought up. I said, boy, that makes so much sense in the world, right? It's an ambulance, right? How complicated can this be? Well, I'll tell you, we couldn't get all 3 on the same page to save our you-know-what. So you know what? We said, look, I'll spend the extra time. We'll design it for you, Beach Park. We'll design it for you, Winthrop Harbor. We'll design it for you, Zion. And you know what? We'll take the price accordingly based on what all of that was. Because that way they get their own, and you're not trying to say, hey, we want it red, you want it white. We want a CPRC, you don't want a CPRC. So that was the extent of the work that went into all of this. Those other municipalities and districts have already committed and they're done. That's neither here nor there in this meeting tonight. But I can't hold the prices any further going past January 1st. We're more than happy to resubmit, and you'll see exactly what those differences are. I can only estimate that it would be on the actual ambulance itself is going to be $12,000 to $15,000. When you come into the striker side of things, which is a medical device, that's what the cots are now. These cots are $60,000 by the time you're done with the mounting and everything else. We've now taken those away from our responsibility. We'll hook up the ambulance, we'll have it all done, we'll make sure that it's delivered that way, but I'm not buying that equipment anymore. Because they can't figure out how to, if I buy today and have a purchase order, that they can honor that price 2 years from now. And I get it, they can't. So we've put that burden on the municipalities, on the fire districts. We've said, here, you're going to have to take that burden on. We can't. You're one of the last ones that we did this with. Because if they raise the price, I'm on the hook for it. I'm not coming back to you. It's $53,000 or whatever the chief had said it's going to be. But they're raising their prices every 3 to 4 months. We just had to get out of that business. There's a lot of other products that are in an ambulance, like a monitor and things like that we don't provide as a manufacturer, so this is just going to go along that way. But it's a device that saved the backs of a lot of firefighters and a lot of liability issues, but it's $60,000. When I got in this business, ambulances complete were $160,000 for a Cadillac out the door. I mean, this is just insane with what we're dealing with right now, guys. This really, truly is. And it's at the point where it's not even whether you order one ambulance, it's whether or not you consider ordering 2 based on what's going on. And this is just, it's an unusual time from where we're in. You can even go into Ford itself. When Ford's quit making, all right, we're going to go back one step. Prior to COVID, the ambulance industry was 5,500 ambulances a year in North America. We're the largest manufacturer in North America. We've been doing it for 36 years in North Carolina. We have a 300,000 square foot facility. It's state of the art. Once COVID hit, that industry of 5,500 ambulances in North America went to 8,000. Now take into consideration all of the other factors of the supply chain that we've all been pounded into our, we can't catch up. We can't catch up. This is crazy. I mean, I thought I'd never see something like this. You know, I'm 62 years old. I'm hoping that I can deliver before I retire. I mean, this is just crazy. But it's the one thing I can tell you, the price isn't coming down. It's just not coming down. And more to your point, your commitment on this ambulance is entirely up to you tonight, or this month, whether you want to do it or not. We don't collect any money until it's down the road. So if it was to get into your master plan in January and do that, you know, I don't see why it couldn't. You know, I mean, it's just, you know, I don't know why it couldn't, quite frankly. But, yeah, it's, I agree with your process of consolidation, some of these loans, and trying to put things together so that they're not bits and pieces and your buying power needs more. There's no question about that. But I will tell you unequivocally, I will have to requote the chief, because I can't hold on to it anymore.
Why don't we have an online meeting next week? We've held special meetings for a lot less.
Nick, do you want to talk about the vehicle one?
Yeah, all I can tell you is, Kevin and I know each other back way back. We're working on a vehicle replacement plan. I got the information from all the department heads. And again, what I run into being a finance person in municipalities is competing interests. You know, we have an emergency fire department, that's true. We have an emergency police department, emergency services, and snow plowing and ice control and everything else. Everybody could make that argument that this is important and we need this right away. You have squad cars that, you know, 7 years in, 130,000 miles, 140,000 miles. Is that, you've got to make that determination. What's the most important for you? So when you look at, you have a $6 million fleet for all of your vehicles. You haven't seen that yet? Well, we're preparing that to come to you. And you're going to see some vehicles that are very, very old, and particularly in the public works department. And again, you know, those things break down as well. You have good vehicles, you have international stuff, so those break down as well. And it's important, I believe, to look at all those in total. But secondly, on the financing side, you have a finance consultant we've used for many years, Phil. He should weigh in on this and let you know what you could afford, how many you could afford, how that fits into your plan. You also have a bank you've been using for many, many years, a banker we've had for at least 20 years, that can weigh in on these leases, on the interest rates, on purchasing, buying. Secondly, you should be looking at the maintenance of that, maintenance records of that vehicle. Any vehicle you're going to be replacing, that's part of your six. This is $300,000, is 5% of your fleet. Okay, it's important to say we can't afford to spend this money anymore. Here's the maintenance record on this. Here's what we've spent so far. If we brought this to a diesel mechanic or whoever, what would they say? They would say, well, it costs 50 grand, 60 grand, 70 grand. Are we willing to do that, or do we want to buy a vehicle?
Nick, can I interrupt you? Because I have a question to try to understand something. So, you know, you talked about how we consolidate to get, you know, the best interest rate and to finance it right, you know, and that's completely understandable. You know, Rocky has mentioned that we wouldn't have to do the financing, you know, till we take possession of it. So is it possible that if we were to do like what Trustee Whitmore said, to make that decision, do you still have then the time to do what you're talking about? Is it possible to make the commitment to purchase the ambulance and then figure out how that fits into the financing later, since we won't be taking possession of it?
That's an option for you. You know, you could certainly look at it in that way and look at purchasing this vehicle in that way.
So the financing and what you're talking about, if I understand right, is really a separate issue then to the commitment to purchase the vehicle.
I think it's coming down to, again, what Kevin had just said about the $12,000 is going to go up, or whatever that is. And that's what's driving this decision, is the price going to go up after the first of the year? The price on everything you're looking at is going to go up after the first of the year. Slack cars are going up 10%.
But how we finance it affect to have a delay in purchasing it? So David, what's your thought on this? 'Cause I know we've talked about it.
It all falls into long-term planning and long-term financing for these huge expenditures. That's what we were asking. There's two ways of looking at it. Number one, we need to make sure that ambulance has the proper maintenance. But number two is that we need to make sure that we're able to pay for this, and we know how long-term we're gonna be able to pay for this and the rest of the squad cars with that plan.
Are we gonna keep a fire department? Just a simple question. Are we gonna keep a fire department in the Village of Woods Harbor?
I think that's
Because
literally
we've-
the options that we have right now.
We've saved enough money in the chief that's sitting there and the chief we got there. That would put a big dent just in their salaries. If we had to get a chief with both their qualifications in here to run our fire department.
How much money are we talking about saving between now and next month?
I'm going to estimate you're between $25,000 to $30,000.
Okay, and so when you talk about that, and this ambulance is 2 years out, it's not going to be here tomorrow or next month, it's 2 years out.
And then you
So
run
if we're
those
talking
chiefs out.
$25,000, and if we're talking about a total package of $1.5 million for everything, well, what is that going to impact, that $20,000?
But I thought he said we could still get it. I thought he said we could still do that, because we don't have to finance it until we take possession. My
Well, that-
understanding was that we can still roll that all together in this, if the decision was made in December. I mean, is that not correct?
Is that, yeah?
Does your proposal also include the financing, or does not?
No, it's completely separate, because that's up to you what you want to do. I'm an ambulance manufacturer.
The financing numbers, right?
Taxes at leasing, and the other one, I have to look at my email, the name. It's the one Beach Park's using, that's what I call it. You might know the name.
Municipal finance.
Municipal financing.
From a
I've already,
purely,
go ahead.
from a purely operational standpoint, I was gonna ask this as we were wrapping that up. So, when you purchase this new ambulance, you would see that becoming now the primary, and the existing ambulance would now become your backup, or are you continuing to run the current one until it gets to a state where you say, yeah, that's now the backup?
Well, because we're still 2 years out, we have to give the other one a little bit of rest. Let the miles catch up, because we don't want to have to replace another one of these.
So
Is that what you mean?
Yeah, and so.
That's what the new one up front.
So alternatives, right, like a ambulance, right, looking at cheaper options that may be okay for a backup but not as a primary don't really work, because you're looking to purchase a new primary and then slide your older one into that.
Correct. Those are more for interfacility
Transport.
transporting.
Yeah.
When you do the trauma that we see in fire departments.
Yeah.
Trustee McCarthy, did your question get answered?
Yeah, I believe so. That's what you're saying. You can still do what, if we were to make the decision to purchase it this month, you could still do what you were talking about, roll that financing together with the other
You can still
vehicles.
get your cost savings,
Yeah.
that's not an issue
That's the
right
question,
now.
right?
That's 2 years out, so I'm not
The
sure
issue-
why we
right,
would
the
have to
issue
wait
is,
till January.
The issue is the savings and the price going up, not the financing.
Yeah, so what she's
Well,
saying, if we held
I
a
get what-
special meeting, we could guarantee him that.
I'm pretty sure.
Everybody's worried about the financing. This is what I think we're.
Well, no, it was
We're- I'm
presented
not-
that
Care less.
if we didn't wait to do it, we'd be spending more money on financing. But now it sounds like that's not the case, that if we do it now, you can still do those cost-saving things in the financing and save on the price.
Yes.
Well, I think the question is, the cost of the ambulance will go up, the $12,000 to $15,000 or $30,000, right? Some number it will go up. The question is, will there be equivalent savings by bundling the purchasing with these other fleet fees?
But we can still bundle.
Yeah.
correct, we can bundle the financing, so we can save on this side and we can save on this side if we hold a special meeting next week and vote on this to save anywhere from $15,000 to $20,000.
In other words,
You can't just Zoom a meeting unless there's a COVID emergency.
Hold on one
The governor's
second.
executive
I'll come in
orders,
next week and see each
So
other.
we can have remote attendance. I'm not trying to get in anybody's way. You can have remote attendance, but you have to have quorum physically present, just so you folks know what you need to do.
I'm sure there's several of us who can show up next week if need be.
But Aaron, I agree, to your question of do we want to, I mean, really, we have an ambulance service that runs from fire calls, right, I mean,
That is what we are.
Right,
Yeah.
I mean,
Repairman.
I am much more concerned when we get to the questions about replacing an engine.
Yeah.
Right, and what apparatus do we need on that side, right, that is a much more difficult sell than needing the appropriate ambulance, right?
I totally agree.
Yeah. And so can we do an advisory vote or a vote of, or just a discussion? I realize
A verbal.
not to enter into
It's
contract.
a verbal that we want to do this, and then vote on it next month.
Yeah. Well, if you vote on it next month, you can't approve
Right.
the contract with these folks until it's on the agenda.
Right.
That's the problem.
But I mean, if you know we're going to do it.
No, I'm saying he can't. We can't enter into a verbal agreement.
Once the calendar flips into next year, I can't honor the pricing that we've been working on for the last 4
He
months.
has to have a contract at hand, signed, inked, and paper.
So it seems as though everyone up here is saying, should a vote come forward, we would likely be approving this, but there's not a vote in front of us. Is that
It's
correct?
a discussion.
Right, it's on as a discussion item, there's not a vote, but based on the discussion, it seems that had there been a vote, it would be favorable.
I have reached out to
Non-
several community
non-binding.
leaders, non-for-profits. We are already in the process of, once this is voted on, starting to secure funds and starting to fundraise funds for this, to take the burden off the taxpayers, to take it off, the burden off of the village, still being able to provide our village with an ambulance. So we're hoping to at least secure anywhere over $150,000 for this project alone.
And the other question to the chief is, what's the situation if the ARPA funds get approved for something that's already been ordered? Is that gonna be a conflict? If they'll purchase that, something that's already been ordered?
ARPA funds are committed by 2024 and expended by 2026. If it's approved.
If it's approved.
Yeah.
But if we put an application in for something that we're committing to pay for, is that gonna
It's
hinder?
not going to bother us at all. Understand, we're 2 years out. How the funding happens, we get a check when we deliver the ambulance, which is quite different than the fire service. The fire service has historically been, you order a fire truck today, which was 3 years, that's where they're at right now. If you ordered a fire truck today, you would pay a third the moment you process the order. You would pay a third halfway through the order, and then you'd pay another third upon delivery. The ambulance business hasn't gotten into that because the chassis, for God's sakes, the chassis are $56,000. They alone have now gone up over the $64,000 in 1 year. But we pay for the chassis. The majority of our work is the assembly from ground up. So there's no need for money up front. They haven't changed it. I've challenged them a few times. There's been no talk of trying to do that, so it's still at the end of its term. How we get paid, how it gets financed is entirely up to you.
Oh, no, I'm talking about more about the county, about Lake County.
That's the federal rules that the county's following. But it wouldn't matter if you're approved for that ambulance through the ARPA process, then the ARPA process would just take over as far as the paying for the ambulance, yes.
Dave Nick wants to say something. Bob, could you approve a contract without a method to pay for it? Could they approve that per? I mean, if we're saying, let's
Yes.
wait on financing for a month,
Well,
could you do that?
Because technically, we're not appropriating the funds for 2 years until it's, right, it wouldn't even sit on next year's
That's what I'm saying.
budget.
it's an additional long-term appropriation.
Tell you, multiple other municipalities are doing this.
I know, I understand. I'm not trying to get in anybody's way. Ron.
I wasn't trying to talk over you.
Trying to avoid the Attorney General coming in and telling us the some citizen complaints about the Open Meetings Act and voiding everything we've just been trying to do. That's what I'm trying to prevent happening. The difficult time is we haven't appropriated funds for this, even in a conditional setting. But you don't have to appropriate for it until the year that the expenditure is going to be made. So, I don't know that there's another way to do it, other than just to do it, because there isn't a way to appropriate for 2026 right now, or 2025.
Is the board willing to meet next week?
Yes.
I have to do it virtually, because I'll be out of town.
That's why we got the item on that allows remote attendance.
Right.
Is this something that the board wants to move forward to next week?
I would say to keep them muted.
Trustee Marabella, are you okay with next week?
Absolutely.
Trustee LeWitt? Trustee White? Trustee Whitmore? Sorry. Trustee McCarthy? Trustee Hart? I'm on board too. So we'll meet whatever day, next Tuesday? Wait, no, can't. Yes, I won't be down, well, no, yeah, I won't be down in Florida by next Tuesday. So maybe on Thursday? Or Wednesday? Wednesday, at least by Wednesday or later.
We can do the meeting on Tuesday, the 27th.
I'll be there yet. It takes me 2 days to Florida.
We could have the 29th.
Well, we would have.
We can have a quorum.
I'll be there on the 29th.
You would only need a vote as a tiebreaker, right?
Yeah, true. But I'd like to be attending it. Or maybe I'll do it in a hotel room, I don't care. I got Wi-Fi.
The 27th?
Yeah.
Well, you can just dial in as well, you know.
That's true.
Yeah. I need to have an IT guy come with me.
You're lucky as the mayor.
All right. So next Tuesday. All right. 27th. 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
There was discussion, so next item.
Okay. I make a motion to approve a resolution ratifying the part-time police union contract. Second.
Discussion on that. This is a fair agreement for the village and the part-time police officers. I want to thank the negotiating teams from the village and ICOP for completing this. And Chief Moan and part-time police officers who did a great job. This contract negotiations was probably the smoothest I've seen. I've done 2 or 3. So it was very good. So that's all I have. Anybody else has any kind of comments? All right. Roll call, please.
Target?
Aye.
Levin?
Aye.
Mirabella?
Aye.
McCarthy?
Aye.
White?
Aye.
Whitmore?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, Trustee McCarthy. We move on to Public Works and Recreation, Trustee Marabella.
So I'd like to make a motion for request for approval for the 2022 water loss study by Baxter and Woodman, not to exceed $11,000.
Second.
Any discussion on that?
Basically, we're raising our rates.
Yep.
Our water loss is at a rate, and Tim can speak if I misspeak, but our water loss is huge. So we can't tell our citizens, hey, we're letting a lot of this water go to waste, so. And there's something to do with the metering too.
We need that study. We
Yes.
need that study from Baxter.
Yeah. So, we believe it's the best way to move forward, Mr. President.
This is what I've been asking to you.
I know.
Yes.
This is coming out of ARPA funds, correct?
Yes.
Maybe.
Tim, you wanna, Tim and I have spoken about this, and we're gonna be using our water funds, so we can maximize the use of the ARPA funds for a larger, water project.
Okay. Any other discussion or comments? Roll call?
Target?
Aye.
Levin? Mirabella?
Aye.
McCarthy?
Aye.
White?
Aye.
Whitmore?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, we move on to public comments. Anybody that would like to address the board, we just ask you to provide us with your name and your address. Hey, Chuck.
I'll start
My name is Justin Street,
Welcome
518
back.
Roberts Road, proud resident, lifetime resident of Wood Department. Proud fire chief for 7 years. I just wanted to say hi and Merry Christmas to everybody. But I knew this discussion of the ambulance was going to come up tonight, so I was really glad to get down with the council meeting there and race here just to, number one, say hi and support this project. I understand, I guess it can't be voted on tonight, and you're working on a meeting for next week, which is better than nothing, but I just, number one, I'd answer any questions going back to 5 years, if you had any, that when this whole situation started percolating. You know, we replaced the engine on that ambulance that's in question now.
In 2016, right?
Yeah, 6 years ago, and knowing it was gonna buy a few years, but that this would come up. So, we certainly don't need to rehash everything that's gone on for the last hour, I get that, but I just wanted to support the project and support the common sense situation that we find ourselves in, that I find myself in as a village taxpayer, to be honest with you, of a good quality ambulance. The research has been done. The bid process has been done. I get there's some technicalities on potentially funding in the future budget year, but it's worked in the past at different places. And boy, this has been in the works for a long time, and necessary for a long time, and necessary for the operations of the village fire and rescue department. So I just wanted to stop by and voice my support for moving forward with this, because it's important to our department. No matter what we do operate. So, thanks for hearing me out. It's good to see you all.
Good to see you. Anyone else? All right, we move on to unfinished business. I'll just sit down with Trustee Whitmore.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone for coming out on the 3rd for our first ever Santa Day. Our breakfast with Santa, we had almost 200 people. For the Santa run, we filled half of the van full of gifts. We did already do our wrapping for Toys for Our Tots. Great turnout. Each family were able to get several additional gifts because we did collect so many. And then the tree lighting was probably our biggest turnout that we've ever had, even considering it was freezing, and I liked all the add-ons with the band, the batons. I had a ton of people came up and just praised that event. So I just hope everyone has a great Christmas. And we did have our Christmas decorating contest. The business that won was the Sweet Stop. And then the house that won was 410 Calvin. I will be delivering their awards tomorrow. And then I'll also be sharing pictures so we can put them on the website and social media.
And we drove around, but there was a rainy night. A lot of them, or at least 3 of them were out.
Yeah. We did have quite a few houses, 9 houses that were involved. We had the 2 queens and the new pickleball group.
Pickleball, yeah.
They went around and judged, and so they all had a ton of fun, sent me tons of pictures, so I think we had a good turnout this year.
Thank you, Trustee McCarthy.
Yeah, I thought the Santa Run was a great addition. I love the idea, I was in favor, mentions doing it, and I thought it went extremely well, a few people complained that they missed it, but I thought, well, that's how it is, they're too slow. I was in the shower, I missed it, apparently, as well, but I just think it was awesome, everyone, thought it was great. And we did it without taking away from anything else, which I think is the best part of it, just adding everything, having the Santa breakfast and doing that. Just a great day that I think can continue to grow. I want to give a special shout out to Santa and Mrs. Claus, who were in the cold sleigh for a while there, and just thank them for their commitment to the village and to that event. So thank you.
They're used to the cold. They're from the North Pole.
Did you say they were so good that they slayed it?
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. All right.
Your girls will be so disappointed.
Strike that from the mayor.
Thank you, Trustee.
That's all right.
Trustee Harden.
Merry Christmas.
Trustee White.
I just want to say it was a real privilege to escort the mayor and the Clauses watching them freeze in the back there, but they kept warm, and so it was really neat to watch them back there, and the kids. That was the great part, to see the kids running out to the sleigh and just getting all excited. Even some adults got excited, especially when they saw Mr. Claus. You know, he didn't ho-ho too much, he was too cold. But anyway, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a happy, healthy New Year.
Thank you, Trustee Weiss. Trustee Levin?
Wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Great, thank you. Trustee Marabella?
We, our building's starting soon, right, the next month? Was that?
It's permanent this year.
I think he spoke to that.
Okay.
Anyway, yes, the events, I didn't attend all the events, but I did attend the parade and the tree lighting, froze, it was very good.
I offered you my jacket.
He had a very, jacket, very
I
sparkly
know.
jacket.
But I just believe it bonds our community even more than our community bonds it. I thought it was great. I thought putting all that together and made a whole day event on it was awesome. Lori didn't want me to mention we were looking at the right tree this year. But anyway, yeah, Merry Christmas to everybody, and glad to see a big turnout tonight. It's nice.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I have one? Oh, I forgot. You were finishing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just wanted to also thank David and the admin team for everything they've been doing with the Facebook page. Everyone's loving the twinkle pictures, and actually all the departments that have had some fun with it. It was very cute to see like the police and fire pictures there. I assume you were working together to do that, not really adversarial, but just love it. People are enjoying it. What?
It's game on.
And just we've hit over 1,000. Yeah. Okay. So, and yeah, the year we've got. And I remember being stuck for a while. You were kind of like, oh, we're stuck at 150 or something like that for a while, and it's since taken off.
Well, you failed to mention the speed at which Sanjay got the permit issued for the gingerbread house as well. I mean, that was magical.
Yeah. Before I'll do something, and I just wanted to say these activity reports for the police department, and then for community development, this is amazing. I mean, you look at August. I mean, when do you sleep? When do you eat? I mean, in August, you had, last year you had 35 permits, this year you got 71. The year's not even over yet. This is amazing. This is great. I like these reports, I really do.
He had Santa Claus helping him.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. But this is great. I love these reports. I go through them maybe page by page. So, great job. Thank you, Mayor. Yes.
I'd just like to go on record and thank Assistant Chief Shauna Haskey. She did a lot of work on our end for the tree lighting ceremony, and David too put a lot of work into this. So thank you. It was a well-attended event at the fire station and gave us some good PR as well, so we appreciate it.
When I walked in there that night, I was like, oh my God. I've never seen so many people in there for the tree lighting in the fire station. It was amazing. But, no, and one thing, I know Dave walked out of the room, but January 3rd will be here a year. So I think he's done a phenomenal job this year. Put us in a good place, better place, and I'm sure we're going to continue to move in the right direction. So I just wanted to give Dave that he walked out. So, but just congratulate him on 1 year, January 3rd. That's all I have. Need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right. Roll call.
Target?
Aye.
Levin?
Aye.
Mirabella?
Aye.
McCarthy?
Aye.
White?
Aye.
Whitmore?
Meeting adjourned.